everyone to the newest installment of a T4-TV discussion. I know, been a while since I've made an episode. Anyway, for this one, I have two personal guests, Chris and Joel. Say hi, you lovely bastards.
Hi, you lovely bastards!
You jackasses. Alright then, now what this is that we're going to do a top 5.5 list of our favorite horror films. Now, why 5.5? For half the fun. So here we go. Alright, number 5.5 for me is Zombieland. Now, the reason why for me this is an honorable mention is because, well, it's not really scary. It's more of a comedy base. And what I love about the film is that it has this form of, there's a lot of great moments in that film. I especially, love the opening because you see everything happening like in slow motion. And it's like a wonderful montage. It was just amazing. You have this wonderful cast of characters, and and the funny thing about that film is that you see Bill Murray in it as a cameo. And
the quest for Twinkies.
Oh yeah, the whole premise is like they're trying to look for Twinkies or something while trying to survive.
Yeah, like I think it's named Tennessee, because they name each other cities in that. Not cities, states in that one because they don't actually trust people. So Tennessee likes Twinkies. Alliterations. Allergic to alliteration. Sorry. Anyways, back to you, Tony.
Alright, so basically, I put Zombieland on, again, 5.5, because, it's an honorable mention in that, well, it's not really scary, it's comedy. Okay, here's Chris, 5.5.
For me, my 5.5 is Maximum Overdrive. I think that is actually a very good movie. You feel horrible for a lot of the ways people die in that movie. The kid who's crushed, his head popped like an apple.
I didn't feel sorry for that woman that was screaming, "Wing you!"
Okay.
She was annoying.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
I didn't think it popped like an apple. I thought it popped like a virgin on prom night.
Oh, either way, it was bloody.
Same thing.
Well, or like the guy who goes and he's playing the arcade games and then gets the hell shocked out of him. That was like, oh. Or the man who gets knocked in the balls by a Coke can and given a concussion. But either way, good movie. It was very good, very effective. Good actors, aside from the lady you mentioned. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a good honorable mention. On to you, Joel.
Well, my honorable mention is the car because it's a piece of cinematic gold in the way that every horror movie feels they have to have a protagonist and then an antagonist. Well, this one's just like, there's a car, and it's running people the fuck over and smashing them into the side of canyons. Whereas the appeal of that being, think of this. Would you be more scared of a man with a knife you can get away from? Or the car that you're going to get into to get away from him turning on and trying to kill you? It's just like, it's a bizarre concept that was executed really well. And I guess back to Tony for his
Number
first.
5. Alright, number 5 for me is Scream. It's the first one. And what I like about Scream was that it has this homage to the old horror films, while at the same time it pokes fun at the idea. This was one of the prominent films I remember hearing about back then when I was a kid. And I remember some of the scenes. I remember the opening. It set the atmosphere very well. You have, Drew Barrymore, making popcorn. She got the call about, do you like scary movies? And the whole scene feels intensified about it. And you have this little climax in the beginning where, basically she just gets killed. But what I like about it is that a lot was going on. Especially you hear film references, like in Friday the 13th. She answered that it was Jason. She saw the movie. But the killer said that it was actually Freddy's mother. So it's basically giving out trivia for, new horror fans, in honor of the old classic films. So I like Scream for its homage to, horror films, as well as some of the creepy moments in the film.
Well, for my 5th, I went with Saw. The series in general, I can't really select any single movie from that series. Because you think that he's in the wrong, Jigsaw, for punishing all these people, but then you kind of can see his perspective as a total psychopath. Pushing people through barbed wire, having them explode, poison, blaze, It's all that. And you don't know what to expect next for first-time viewers. So I think that Saw was a very good movie to watch, especially at moments that actually have you trying to solve the puzzle. You put on a monocle, you put in the pipe and cigar, and you're trying to figure out the puzzles. So, yeah, I like it.
My number 5 is Freaks, a 1932 piece of awesome. I don't know, there's just some kind of appeal about a woman being accepted into a carnival, poisoning one of their main attractions. And now here's the thing, my favorite part is the ending, because it's kind of you get what you deserve. But if you watch the remade version, you're just going to get some piece of shit ending the cinema threw in. Watch the original one, it is carnies pulling a woman apart at the limbs, mutilating her pieces, and all you're left with is a puddle of blood and nub kind of shapes.
Ooh. That definitely
I remember that for the film at one point it was banned because people thought it was making fun of the abnormalities.
It was banned from 1935 until 1942, until, towards the climax of World War II, where they're like, this isn't that bad. And then they re-released it, and it grossed about, today's equivalent, it grossed about, 16, $17 million of today's equivalent, which was, like 50,000 back then.
And the interesting thing is that it has, it's like you see the normal people as the antagonists. So it's like, it was one of those films where it was ahead of its time, and they placed the minority people as the protagonists.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Very few films did that.
Oh, fun fact for you. If you watch, Schlitsky, the character in the movie, that is a guy, if you wonder. But, see, he had severe brain trauma, and they raised him as a girl because it's the only way he was comfortable. Now, I could talk about this for hours, so let's just go back to,
Number 4.
Number 4,
Alright,
Tony.
number 4, Night of the Living Dead, the original. I remember first seeing the film, actually in my local cinemas. There was, very few people there. And, I was watching the film, and what I can say about the film is that in today's modern generation, it has a form of some cheesy factor, but at the same time, it's a little creepy at times, especially the most notable moment being that you see the little girl eating her father's flesh, and her mother was terrified about it, and the little girl grabbed this garden dagger, and she was stabbing her multiple times. And another thing I liked about the film was that, like most people said, you had a black person at the time being the protagonist, which was, a new thing.
Huge, because that was in, 1940?
No, this was a 1960s film.
Well, I mean, I know it's old, and the fact is there were not civil rights at that time no matter what.
Yeah, there was a lot of problems. Problems carried on to, the 80s, 90s, and even into the 2000s.
Yeah, equal rights was given in the 60s, implemented in the 1990s.
Yeah, my generation.
There were two moments that I like, other than the little girl scene. It was the opening and the ending. The opening just, cuts, all the filler and just gets to the point of the movie. For the ending, it is highly unexpected, and I really don't want to spoil it. So, if you like zombie films, go with this one.
For me, I'm going to say Paranormal Activity. Very good movies. I cannot wait to watch the third. First movie, before I continue, do not watch that alternate ending. It is not worth shit. But, very good movie. The intense expectations that you were given are definitely fulfilled. You want to watch more and more. You can't wait to see. It's very freaky. And then the second movie, also good. And the way that they tie up with each other, you can't wait to find out what's coming next. On to you.
I'm gonna have to say my number 4 is the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra, but see, it's a movie that specifically pokes fun at the stereotypes and the old makeshifts of horror, with a little bit of science fiction, in there. Basically, the plot of a movie is a magical space rock comes down, and it brings back a evil skeleton who's been living in a cave, the Cave of Cadavra, for years. And so this geological person, his girlfriend or wife, is led to the skeleton. She puts the rock on, and the skeleton terrorizes everyone. And 2 aliens have come down and crash landed, and they try to assist them. all in all, it's nonsensical, but it's a piece of, it's a giant kind of 4chan meme of I see what you did there. Anyways, back to you, Tony, number 3.
Alright, number 3 is Brain Dead, also known as Dead Alive. The funny thing about the film was that I honestly did not expect this to be a comedy. I expected it to just be the most, the goriest film I've ever watched. And it is. It is a very gory film.
Don't want to breastfeed that baby.
Yeah. There's a lot of good moments in that movie. I love the priest scene, and I also love the baby scene. And I think the most disgusting scene so far, out of all of it, was where you see that zombie old lady, I think. It was in the kitchen scene. Her ear falls into porridge to her bowl.
Oh, the guy's mother.
Oh, okay.
But, about Brain Dead, I only have one thing to say. I kick ass for the Lord.
Exactly, my friend. I think this was Peter Jackson's first horror film.
It was. I don't think it was his first, but it was one of his beginnings, yeah.
Yeah.
Back before Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was pretty much dubbed the Lord of Gore at this point. But, I loved it for its comedy values. Some characters were actually likable, surprisingly. I loved the kills. There was just a lot of great moments. So if you love dark humor, I think this is one of the best ones, by far.
Well, for me, for my number 3, 30 Days of Night. Very good movie. Vampires have not been seen in good light for quite a while with the Twilight.
Is that the one with all the people in Alaska?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Very good movie, especially the way that they use their choreography and camera effects. The expectation of the hunt, the red blood against white snow, and everyone screaming for their lives. You really want to watch this movie. I admit the ending is not as enjoyable as most others, but the movie itself, watch it. You'll enjoy it. You want to grab your friends, sit on a couch, and eat delicious buttery popcorn as you scream your asses off.
If only that were an exercise plan, screaming. Anyways, number 3. Mine is Cut. Now see, the whole appeal of this movie is a bunch of students get together in a film school, and they try to remake a movie where it was almost done, but one of the cast members went crazy and completely butchered everybody in the production. So what they do is they get together and try to start remaking it, but the man who stopped the first one, the cast member, comes back, and slowly they are all, one by one, I hate to use this term, but cut out of the picture. So, it's just a movie to where everything you expect to happen turns around on you. It doesn't fit the whole American, stigma of it has to be happy. I recommend it highly. Back to you for number 2.